This episode of Gamerheads is brought to you by Magic Mind, the healthy energy drink that will help you take your creativity to a new level.
Hi, I'm Celia Schilling from Yacht Club Games.
Hey, this is James from Mega Cat Studios.
Hey, this is Matt, aka Stormageddon from Reignite, Screen Snark, and the Fun and Games podcast.
This is Stephanie from the Boss Rush podcast and the Boss Rush Network.
Hey, this is Mark and Keon from Bonte Avond.
Hey, this is Sebastian with the ProNerdReport.com and the Single Player Experience podcast.
Hi, this is Chris.
Mike.
And Garrett from Daylight Basement Studio.
Hey, this is Baron J67 from Level 1 Gaming.
Hey, this is Todd Mitchell from Code Right Play.
Salutations, this is Mike Carroll from Stroll Art.
Hey, this is Jeff Moonen from Fun and Games Podcast.
Hey, this is Patrick from the Backlog Odyssey.
Hey, this is Rune from Runic Codes.
Hi, this is Andrew from Spalato Bros.
Hi everyone, Jill Grote here from the Indie Informer.
Hello, this is the Crypt Master, and you're listening to Roger you're listening to Roger on the Gamerheads Podcast.
And welcome to another episode of the Gamerheads Podcast. My name is Roger. Along with me this week, I have a very special guest. I have the director of Mighty Yell, Dave Proctor. Dave, welcome back to the show.
Roger, it is good to be here.
Yeah, I am super excited to talk about this game because what we're going to be talking about. Before we get into that, I'll have some prep questions. But the one thing I will say that I'm really excited about, and you mentioned this at PAX East, I was probably the first person to see this game outside of your studio, which is very cool.
Yes, you were. You were the first. I think you were the first press preview that we had to take a look at All Systems Dance. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. So we should though talk about what's new with you since the last time we chatted. You were on the show. We talked about A Night in the Attic. And so what's new with you since the last time we chatted?
Oh, announcing games. Nothing else. Nothing else big. No big deal. I mean, I don't know. That would have been almost a year ago, I would say. Maybe just a little more than a year ago, probably before Akita came out. We shortened A Night in the Attic to Akita in the house, just so that everybody at home has the cool lingo. But yeah, we pretty much right after we shipped Akita, see, everybody knows what I mean. We started working on All Systems Dance, and we'd been doing a lot of prototyping ahead of that, and but it wasn't until that game was done that we brought the whole team on, and we really just swung everything at it, and we'll get into it, but that's what we've been working on. We're working on this thing. I don't know. I'm stoked. Yeah,
I am too. So let's just jump right into it. What is this game about? Tell us about this game.
Oh my god. Okay. The high level pitch for everybody listening at home that hasn't watched our trailer, but I don't know why you haven't. Go to allsystemsdance.com to see the trailer and wish list the game. So the general premise of the game is that it is the not too distant future, and an evil corporation, the one I'm talking about, has sort of taken over the world with their robot workforce / army. And you are stuck on this smart city, you're in their sort of ecosystem, and you're being catered to by their endless army of robots. And it's not a good life. And, the robots can't be outsmarted and they can't be outfought, but you have the magical human expressive power of dance, and you have the ability to kind of take them down and reprogram them one by one. Nice. So that is what All Systems Dance is about. It is about dancing to save the world from corporate greed.
Yeah, I love it. And you know what? I after the game was announced, I was telling some of my friends about this, and everybody that I've told about this was like, "This sounds like such a cool game, and what a cute concept, and what a unique concept." And it made me think, how do you come up with a game like this? Because it's so different, it's so unique. What does that look like when you're starting to think through something like this?
Yeah, I want to be able to say that it's a really complicated process, but my brain is just a little broken. So that's what happens. But I for my whole life, everything that I've ever written, all my premises, all the stuff that I think is fun and interesting, like where my sense of humor comes from just like coming up with what ifs that are just like a little bit weird and strange. So I am reading Yuval Noah Harari's book, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, which is, this is the writer of Sapiens, who talked about the history of humankind. And it's entirely possible that like he's problematic, but maybe I'm remembering that wrong. So, just if someone's like, hey, you shouldn't be reading that, I'm glancingly aware that maybe there's something wrong, and I'll Google it later. So like, that's just the reality. But the book, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, was about sort of like where we're kind of headed, and super interesting. And there is a line in it where he talks about how the Industrial Revolution made it so that like manual labor was like outclassed, like it was not the most powerful form of labor anymore, or you could do it with a machine. He says the AI revolution, and this was long before that word was everywhere, but this was this was like this book was written like 7 years ago. The AI revolution will make it so that intellectual jobs will become outclassed. And then me, reading this in the morning, like just like to make myself giggle, I say out loud, all that will be left is dance. And from there, I like this starts tumbling, and I'm just like, oh, what does that mean? And I don't know, I'm a big fan, and I'm a big believer that like ideas visit you and you have to take them, and they're it's really cool when that happens. So I just start thinking like, well, what does that mean? And I was like, what if there's like a type of like labor revolution, but it's through dance, like the only kind of job that machines have taken the manual labor and they've taken the intellectual labor, but they can't take the dancing labor. And then, from there, it just kind of like it buds outwards. I open it to the team. I'm like, this is a thing that I want to do. And then I get pitches back from them about ideas where they're like, what if this, what if this, what if this? And then it sort of evolves over time where like we have our very specific story, and like, I don't know, it solidifies, and it becomes this thing that we all understand as a group. But it starts with like this one idea starts with me just being a doofus at like 7 a.m.
I love it, but and I think it's I think your game is getting a lot of attention, and I think partly because it's awesome. Like I love. I mean, what I got to see of it, I fell in love instantly with it. But I think the other thing that it's doing is it's really touching on a nerve that we're facing right now in our society, right? And that is the fact of like, do we become irrelevant with the changing landscape that's happening, and it's changing so fast. And I think that's really scary. And not only is it changing really fast, but it's like people are latching onto it without thinking the consequences of it. And I think that's why, this is something that reaches out in the expression of dance is really, that it's the expression of art, right? And that's something that, computers really can't do yet. So that's why I think this resonates with a lot of people.
The not thinking about the consequences is a thing that like really gets my goat a lot. Like we rush headlong into a lot of things from a corporate and innovative, quote unquote, innovative perspective. I don't know if your audience is familiar with the Torment Nexus meme, or if you are. But like it was a joke on Twitter. It was like, sci-fi author. In my book, I invented the Torment Nexus as a cautionary tale. Tech company, at long last, we have created the Torment Nexus from the classic sci-fi novel Don't Create the Torment Nexus. I think that is Alex Bleckman. I think is the writer. I got to give credit. But yeah, like that kind of thing happens all the time.
Yeah,
it happens all the time. It's like, well, but why do we need this? Why do we do this? And what happens is like the people that end up deciding why we get to do stuff are the people with the most money. So that's why the AI isn't replacing menial tasks. It's replacing the tasks of people who create the things that we all buy. So it's not doing it's not like there's another meme where people are like, can I paint and the AI can do my taxes? Wouldn't that be nice? Can the AI fish garbage out of the ocean? Well, no, because the people that are deciding what the AI is for think it's more interesting right now for it to do, the sort of like the quote unquote content, whatever, machine.
Yeah.
I have a lot of opinions about this. We can just talk about this, which we shouldn't, because I will just keep going.
Yeah. Well, I do want to riff on that just for a minute, because I think the thing that's interesting is, it's tapping into like the easiest things too, like that, like and I'm going to use this term, and maybe it's not the right term, but like the laziest way to implement it too, right?
Yeah.
It's like, because there's so much more that it could do, but it's like, oh, we want it to write script, we want it to write, and I was like, that's like the lazy easiest way to implement something like this. Like there's way better ways that you could use it as a thought partner or whatever the case is, right? But instead we just focus on the easiest, simplest, and it's weird to me that that's what people focus on. But I don't want to digress.
I'm not against,
but
I'm not against like ethical and responsible uses of technology. That's fine. Like there was an Apple demonstration a couple days ago where a woman basically used the Siri AI as like a better Google. Great. Love that. That's fantastic. That's probably going to save that person like a couple seconds, and that's cool. Good for them. But it's the irresponsible stuff that's really stressful.
Yes, 100%.
So that's like that's kind of where we're coming from. And it wasn't the original, like it was like the idea of the robot army. I was thinking more at the head, like when we started the game, very much about like workers' rights, which I still obviously am, but like much more about the sort of Amazon, industrial complex. And then the AI concerns really started to bubble up, and they started to surface themselves in the story a little bit stronger, in a way that allowed us to not move away from that stuff, but like think about what we're concerned about right now. And also, like, to be honest, while we were developing this, like Hi-Fi Rush came out, and I don't remember if this is one of your questions, but I do want to like mention it. Like, it's something that appeared, and it allowed us to actually, like, they did the sort of, I'm not trying to sound like we're better than them. They did like the original idea that we had. And I was like, nuts. And it allowed us to kind of refocus and think about like what we wanted to make and what story we wanted to tell in the space of like the genre of game that is like music versus corporation, that incorporates stuff like No Straight Roads and Hi-Fi Rush and Jet Set Radio and All Systems Dance. So yeah, that was like, it's now something that's really important to me.
Yeah.
I think something that's really important to the game. It's been important to me for a while.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other thing that's really important, like last time we've chatted, was making your games family friendly, and that it's not violent. It's not a violent game. And the one thing that I think that stands out about this game is, this build as a non-violent combat. Can you discuss what that means, and then how does it play into your philosophy at Mighty Owl?
Yeah, I mean, and I keep saying this, and one day people will, when we're desperate for money and we're making like gore shooter the bloodening, and people will be like, they used to say that they were anti-violent, but like and they'll drag Gamerheads Podcast from 15 years of Gamerheads Podcast, and they're like, hey, Dave's been on this show every year and he said it was nonviolent, but now they're broke. Sorry. But like we try to make things where the core verb for the player isn't like hurt, hit, or kill.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that you can't be threatened as a player. That's not to say that that violence does not exist in the world. I just want to give the people that play our games, and I want to think about, core actions for players that play our games. I want to think about what it means to make them not have to use violence, not give them no choice but violence. Because, and if you want to get really theoretical about it, there's a line of thought that violence is the removal of choice. But anyways, the thing that I want to do is make stuff that is not violent, but I also wanted to try to make an action game. I wanted us to make something that was like we made an adventure game. We made like more of a puzzle, like escape room style puzzle game. And now I was like, what does it look like if we make a non-violent action game? And dance is one of the verbs that comes in, like, because it's fun. It's really joyful and really cool. And like dance is neat. So I thought like, well, no one's done this, like this kind of thing. There are tons of games about inputting things on the rhythm, on the beat of stuff. There are tons of games about dancing actually yourself for the Kinect, Just Dance, whatever. But I think Bound, the game Bound for the PS4 that I have only recently become aware of, I gotta look into this, deals with like dance and movement to a degree. But I don't know that there's been a lot of games that kind of deal with the second to second decision of what it means to choose dance moves for yourself while you're performing. So that's the thing that we wanted to do, is like, let's make performance and dancing and the ability to express yourself through dance the core verb of the game. And I don't know if you want to, like, I don't know how deep down this.
No, this is awesome. But, yeah, absolutely.
So where does that go? Something that we haven't busted this one out yet, but I told you at PAX is like, I was like, what's the Tony Hawk of dance moves? Like, what is that? What are Tony Hawk with dance moves? What does that mean? And we had to start really thinking about like how you can have a wide variety of dance moves available to you in a way that allows you to move through a space, which means that, unlike Tony Hawk, you don't have an ollie, that is like a setup for a trick. You have to constantly be performing tricks. So what does that allow you to have if your thumbstick also moves you through the space? And we just started like really thinking about what the core like kind of touch and mechanics and feel of this is. And we settled on something that I'm so stoked about. It allows for a lot of dance moves, like a lot of dance moves. I'm not going to quote the number in case we don't implement like the few that are still coming in, but like a lot of dance moves, I would say, and the ability for players to sort of like remap them and think about what they want to, like how they want to dance. I'm like, sorry, we haven't been able to talk about this for like a year, so I'm just talk about everything about this game.
So it's like you can string dance moves together to get higher scores. Is that
Bingo.
kind of
So the kind of core narrative premise is that you are presented with the robots, and they are like, we have a lot of like robot dance battles. We're working on having a lot of robot dance battles, but I want, you can kind of think of them as like mini boss fights. Like we're not dealing with like a lot of like robots in the environment that you kind of deal with. You just kind of get into these battles, these sort of like one-off. You get teleported to the dance battle arena and you go into it, and then the robot is terminally unhyped. They're just like, hi, how can I sell you shorts today? Like they're like it's just like it's a walking mobile ad, and that's what it's doing. Our like first robot that we built is he's in the trailer. He jumps up and down. He's like a little screen that comes up to you and advertises stuff to you. We call him Adbert. Like that is his name. And so you start dancing, and when that happens, the robots are like, oh, this is interesting. And they start like following you and getting close to you, because, the robots have been trained to see you in a certain light, as a consumer, as a thing to extract money from. And you start to dance, and they realize that you're actually more than that. You're something else. So that kind of breaks them. And as you hype them up, which is like, the sort of score or health bar, then they start to go into different phases. Now, when they get more hyped, they start engaging with you because they're excited, but they're also dangerous. So your job is to continue to generate hype in a way that doesn't get you hit when you bonk into them or, whatever. And then we have like a bonk strike system, and like the goal is to keep moving, keep dancing, do something that feels good to you, and also like not not get clobbered along the way.
Yeah, yeah. How much did you have to study dance then? Because like, I don't know if I've ever seen a game like this where you string a bunch of dance moves together, and that must be complicated because you're trying to. I mean, you obviously want to have, legit dance moves, but some of these things don't necessarily flow together. How did you tackle that?
Yeah, like the way that we're building our animation system is we're trying to blend them together as best we can with like some like secret sauce about, not like secret that I won't talk about, but secret like I won't get really boring with you, but like we're trying to figure out a way to make it feel like if you end a dance move on the ground and your next move is standing, there's a little transition. There's something there to kind of blend those things so that whatever the player feels like they want to do is like kind of represented visually. And we see our main character, whose name is Carla. We see Carla kind of like transition through those moves and that kind of thing. How much do we have to study dance? Our art director is a dancer. Our operations manager did some dance and figure skating. But like we also did a lot of research into dance. And then beyond that, we hired dance consultants. So we have 2 dance consultants that are on our team. And we meet with them, semi-regularly, and they helped us pick our final move set, and really kind of teach us about what's possible, what's realistic, and vet our design, right? So like we picked 3 kind of dance styles and a yet undisclosed number of moves that fit into each style, and the player is able to sort of learn and unlock those moves over time. That's our goal.
Yeah.
And then like the sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's fine.
Like how much did we study dance? We continue to like figure out things about dance that we don't know and try to learn as much as we can. Not a lot of us grew up dancing. A few of us did, but the big thing about this is that like I think it's good that we're not all dancers, because the game is about someone who is relearning or learning how to dance, because the player is not able to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I find fascinating is like, when you started digging into this, we were like, oh my goodness, what did we get ourselves into? There's a lot of dance moves here that we could pick from.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was rough. We were like, on another podcast, we can have a conversation about the moments where I was like, "Oh, we shouldn't be doing any of this." There were moments where I was like, oh, "We're screwed. I've led us down a terrible path." But the team always pulled it out, came up with great ideas, and like we always found we're like, "Oh yeah, this rules." But we actually there's billions of dance moves, and it's not a co-op game. You're not like moving your arms, and it's not like 100% expressive, because it's hard to make a game out of that. So we had to kind of break it down to like stationary moves with a gamepad, moves that then modifying those with the thumbstick, so that you're moving and you press a move button. And there's different like types of moves for the dance for every dance style, and then we have what we're called freestyle moves, which are like sort of performative things that happen at specific moments. So, it's and that's like one set of moves, and you can ideally equip multiple sets.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
One thing that has always struck me, and last time you were on the show, I asked the similar question, is how different all your games are. Can you talk about that decision of tackling different games, and then the challenges that go along with that?
Yeah, I said to someone today, I was at a conference here in Toronto called XP, which is a business-to-business like games conference here in Toronto. And I was talking to a friend about their next game, and that it leverages tech that they've already built. And I was like, man, I wish I had the ability to get out of my own way enough to do that. I wish I could just be like, what if I didn't encourage us to do something completely new and also hard? So the decision to do that is one that is frowned upon by, like people that have made a lot of video games, but I like it. I think it's fun. I think it's neat, and the team thinks it's neat, and we keep trying new stuff. The thing where we're like, the reason that I want to do that is like, I don't know. Every one of these video games could be our last. And I don't mean like because I get hit by a bus, which is absolutely true. But I mean because like the industry is insane.
Yeah.
So anything could happen tomorrow. So like, what if every game that I made is like absolutely the thing that we're most excited about ever?
Yeah.
And I love looking at like Double Fine and Supergiant. Like they make like weird bets on every game. I mean, Supergiant's making a sequel for the first time, right? And and in their own way, for that studio, that's a weird bet, right? They're trying something new, and that's interesting. Like it is my hope that we get to keep playing. My goal is to like innovate in whatever ways that we can, in ways that bring us joy, and like maybe over time someone will be like, and also the market likes that. Maybe, like that's something that, but like, I don't know, we do okay. So it's more worth it to like have fun, be strange.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is what I love. This is what I love about my DL is the fact that you do take risks, and I've enjoyed every game I've played. So and that's just one thing that has always surprised me. You went from the big con to VR with A Night in the Attic, and now you're going to a dance game.
Now making dance games.
And now making dance games, and that's what makes indie games so special. Is just because of so different, such variety, and there's so much joy in your games, and I think that's what attracts me to the games that you make.
That's the thing that when we were making the big con, one of our the creative director at our publisher said, it's a game that smiles at you. And I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. That is something that I think that should just be the goal for us to always make, is just games that like a game that's like, hey, I see that you're playing this and I got you. That's the thing that I want to make. And I do always have to say that we are a Canadian game studio with like government funding at multiple levels, so we are able to take more risks. So if you are starting your own company with your own money, please make a shooter. Like go out and make a deck builder. Like make something that is a proven genre, because that is a good idea. If you are able to do that, that's great. But like we have a little bit more safety nets here, and we are able to take those risks, and we are encouraged by the people to give us money to take those risks. Because, hey, it makes cool stuff.
Yeah. Or move to Canada, I guess. That's another option.
That is also an option. I never like to say that that's the only option, because not everyone can pull that off, but do it if you can. I mean, we got our problems too, let's be honest.
So I know you just announced the game. When can players expect it to go into, I'm assuming, early access first? When do you have plans for this yet? Or
I hadn't thought about early access, or like we had, but like I don't know that that's necessarily the route for us. I think this is going to be a one and done. We might end up in. That's not to say that we wouldn't support it, and if like I don't mean like we'd give up on it. And I like putting out more content for games if they do well. So who knows? Anything can happen. But I don't want to commit to a timeline.
Yeah.
But we are working on our first public playable. And if you are listening to this contemporaneously with when it comes out, you might have some ideas about when that might be. So hopefully we will get it into people's hands in a demo capacity soon. I would say, unless something bad happens, like we can see some people maybe playing this before the end of the year.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's super fast. I think
and
that's
like,
the other
and not necessarily for release, but I just mean like maybe like if people want to, if they were potentially at an event, hypothetically, then there could be a place for them to play it, maybe, or if there was some sort of large, semi-regular festival of demos that could potentially host something like that, maybe we would appear there. Maybe potentially. I am. It sounds like I'm being goofy, but I also am not 100% confirmed on both of those things. So I'm also being necessarily cagey, right? Like that's an important qualifier. Because I don't want to say like, hey, it's going to be at this event, and then it's not for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Because games are hard, folks, and they are made by people, and they are doing a good job.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that has impressed me too. Is just how, I mean, I I don't want to say this and be like and put pressure, but the fact that you do deliver quickly, like the Big Con and then A Night in the Attic and then this game that you're working on, like to me, that is like that's mind blowing to me how quickly you and like I said, how different the games are. To me, it's just mind blowing how quickly you all can pivot from one game to the next game to the next game.
You and yet you had our very good friend Xavier Nelson on here, and what he does is mind blowing to me. So like, I like the. I'm that means a lot to me, and I think it is at a cadence that we find sustainable, and that is not a dig at Strange Scaffold. They work at a cadence that is sustainable for them, and they are doing a good job of that. And it's important to call out now that they are also giving us support for this game. They are amazing. It's I don't know. They're helping us out with marketing stuff, and I couldn't be more grateful for that. I haven't made a ton of public announcements because I've been busy, but like, dang. Good stuff.
Yeah. I'll put a link in the show notes so people can wish list the game. But before we head out, how can people follow you and follow Mighty Yell on social media?
Yeah, if you're listening for some reason, if you're downloading all the Dave Proctor episodes of this podcast at once, I have updated my social media handle. So, but I am at Positive Laser on all social media platforms, including Twitch, which I don't use, but I was happy to get it, so that rules. And you can find, like, if you look up Mighty Yell, MIGHTYYELL on anything, we've got that, and we've also got All Systems Dance on all the things. So you can find more about our stuff, and you can go to allsystemsdance.com, which is in the show notes, as Roger said, to wishlist the game and check out our really good trailer, which was part live action, filmed in this very office, which is a fun thing. Yeah,
wow.
We were like, man, we should do like a live action trailer like they used to do for like Super Nintendo. And then we did it. And Jillian, our operations manager, who was also my partner, like built a bunch of boxes and put Whoosh stickers on them, and like made this big, incredible, Whoosh is the name of our corporation in the game, made this like, incredible mise en scène in this office. It was so wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's awesome. Dave, thank you so much for joining me. This is a real pleasure.
Oh my God, Roger, this is a blast.
I know. I love chatting with you at PAX. I love having you on the show. I look forward to hopefully seeing you at PAX West. I'll be there, so hopefully we'll run into each other there.
That could potentially be a hypothetical event that we'll be at. But yeah, we will definitely be at. And at least one of our games will be at PAX West. Maybe two. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Well, it's always a treat to have you on. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
really,
listeners,
it's honestly, it's amazing being on here. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say. And listeners, make sure to go wishlist the game. I'm very excited about the game. I got to see a bit of it at PAX, and yeah, wishlist it. Make sure you follow Dave. Make sure you follow Mighty Yell, because they do good work. With that, everybody stay safe and game on, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.